To challenge day 8 of 10, joint account in marriage or no? That's a good question for you and me. Joint account in marriage or no? Because money touches everything, and it touches everything that we love, and it touches everything else in the world. Let me just delete my old one. Let's see. Aha. Yes, there we are. Okay, everybody, let's get started. Welcome, Samira, Beth, Murad, Genevieve, John. If you see any of the VIPs down there, feel free to just bring them up and moderate them. Please, pretty, please. If you're new to me, my name is Kareen Mills, and I help you make peace with your money through financial education and literacy. I know it sounds so simple, but it's really not simple. It takes a lot of commitment from you. Remember, nobody's coming to save you. You have to come and save yourself. Now, if you're married, we all have in the marriage a couple. We both need to be on the same track, looking for the same target, right? Because we defined it during the introduction of this week's topic of conversation, we defined it on Monday. And we said marriage is a union of two people doing the same activities towards a target, sharing its profits and liabilities in life, sharing its profits and liabilities in life. So I do that inside Multiply. You're inside Multiply right now. Welcome. Make sure you leave your shoes out the door. I'm an islander. We don't allow shoes in the house. Okay. Leave your shoes out the door. It brings bad karma because it's always rubbed on the floor and we step on it and use it to make sure we have clean feet or protect our shoes. So Multiply's mission is to help you create matrix-like awareness around your money game so you can become unstoppable. Our mantra is do the work, hashtag do the work. If you go find that hashtag, you'll probably most likely see some of my content in the past. Hashtag do the work, because what I always say is there's only one that cares about saving you, and it's you. So you have to do the work. You have to make a commitment to get the work done. Now, here's what I do tell people. If you've never done this before, and if you've always been winging your money game, you don't want to go from zero to hero when it comes to do the work. You want to pace yourself out and challenge yourself in a window of 90 days to get you in the habit of switching from the old habits to the new habits. Because if you've never done it before and you expect yourself to be great at it overnight, what do we know about overnight success? It's rainbows and unicorns, right? You just have to discipline your expectation within a time frame with a deadline and say, you know what, I'm going to make a commitment in the next 90 days to keep track of my cash outflow with my spouse or whoever your loved one is, because that's what it's all about this week. Is money touches every relationship. We're talking about money in marriage this week, but beyond that, it touches any relationship, whether you have a partnership in business or you have friends that you're going out, to a ladies' weekend at some nice getaway. That's going to cost everybody money, and everybody's got to chip in. That's a relationship. And guess what happens when somebody doesn't pay? It kind of hurts the relationship a little bit when there's always that one person in a circle, right? That you have to pull teeth to pay. Money touches every relationship, whether you like it or not. The 3 pillars of multiply is money, time, and impact. And we've got to do it in that sequence. I don't know how many times do I need to stress this out, but I'm going to never stop doing it. It has to be in that sequence because remember, money touches everything. Money, time, and impact. Multiply money, time, and impact. You have to focus on multiplying your money first. We have to focus on the money-making activities. We cannot focus on the money-sucking activities. That's why when I say the 3 stages of multiply, it starts with money keeping. Because money keeping allows us to shut the back door so we don't have financial leaks. But when we don't commit to money keeping and we only commit to money making, but the back door is open, it just goes in. It's kind of like what our parents used to say. It goes in one ear, out the other. It's not efficient. It's not an efficient money system, right? It goes in one ear, out the other. It goes in the bank account and then out it goes. It's already spent. Like, do you know how many people I've heard that says my money's already spent before it even comes in? Like, that's a bad place to be. In the financial world, that's a bad place to be. In business, that is trouble waiting to happen. And I always say, please treat, in the financial realm of it, please treat your household like a business. Close the back door. That's the first stage, money keeping. And if it involves a spouse or a couple, it needs to be together. We need to do it together. Number 2, time. How do you multiply time? Well, when you get really good with your money and you get really good at generating money, and there's many of you out there that's already great at it, you get to have more resources to multiply your time, meaning you get to hire other people and provide other people with a living, right? We just had a company, a cleaning company, deep cleaned our house. And then we have a cleaning company come here on a regular basis to clean. That requires money, right? And that requires time if you do it on your own, if you don't have the money. But when you do it on your own, it doesn't multiply your time. It divides your time. Do you understand the math now? Why money is always in the front end of the pillars? Because we need to focus on multiply, the word multiply. The word multiply is not just a word. It literally is a living, breathing guide for me. And I want you to use it as a living, breathing guide for you whenever you make your decision. Will this decision multiply my money, time, and impact? Will this decision multiply my money, time, and impact? Then the next day you have another decision. Like in a one day, we have like so much opportunity to make a decision. But if you don't have a guide to make your decision, it takes you forever to get to a decision and you become indecisive. Do you know what indecisiveness does? It divides your time. It does not multiply. Because you sit there and wait and be in the maybe stage of your life. And you sit there for hours or days before making a decision because you do not have a guide when you make a decision. The pillars are the guide. That's why I repeat it every day. It is a guide when you make a decision. But a lot of those decisions require money. That's why you become indecisive, because you have to look at your bank account first, right? Money keeping. That's the first stage. Money touches everything. So it touches a lot of the decision process that you make. So if you have a guide and the pillar with which you live your life with, it's going to be a lot easier to say yes or no, and you will start and begin to remove the maybes in your vocabulary. You will literally no longer use that word. The only time I use that word is when I'm doing this presentation. right? Because the pillars are my filtration process when it comes to the decision making. It's kind of like water, right? If you have dirty water and you drink it, what happens? It might kill you. You may have diarrhea. You may have all kinds of issues, right? But if you have dirty water and you put it through a filtration system, guess what? Especially if you have a really good filtration system, that water gets cleansed from all of the toxins or all of the stuff that's in it. So when you drink clean water, it allows your body to function properly. It's the same thing with your decision making. You got to have a filtration process, because when you get invited to a happy hour, after that, you're going to have I don't know, I don't want to be a joy killer. I don't want to be a joy killer. I don't want to be that mom, right? But when you get invited to a happy hour, and trust me, I'm talking about myself too, the past versions of myself, and it's on a thirsty Thursday, and you have obligations the next day, but then you wake up the next day. What happens when you drink? You have hangover, and then it affects not only that night, it affects your next day and your productivity. Those things, if you have pillars, those things don't multiply. Those activities don't multiply. In fact, you spend money on it, and you spend time that's really, looking back and thinking back, unless you just sip your glass of wine, you just do it for social stuff. Thinking back, the young version of me, it's like, that's a waste of a lot of things. That does not multiply. So when you have a filtration process, will this multiply my money, time, and impact? That's why money comes first, because being able to have the resource to hire out certain things that's going to divide your time rather than multiply your time, it's really hard to teach business owners this. It's one of the biggest challenge I have, is to teach business owners that they need to relinquish some control and they need to focus on their craft, because your craft is what you get paid a lot of money on. You get paid a lot of money doing the things that you not only love doing, but also are great at doing. And I like to always use like a coffee shop, right? Or let's see, let's just say a plumber, right? A plumber. Plumbers make a lot of money right now. And there's a shortage in that industry. Blue collar industry has a lot of shortage because everybody wants to be a computer. Now there's prompt engineer on AI. There's all kinds of computer work, right? Just sit in front of the desk. And that industry, the construction industry, has a lot of challenge because the new generation they're not exposed to those kinds of work, right? So let's say a plumber, and the plumber is just fairly new, one-man show, especially one man or woman, especially when it's a one-person show. It's the more reason you should outsource some of the things you need to do in your business. Because if you're one person only, you only have 16 hours in your days. Well, Kareen, why do you say 16 hours all the time? Is because you have to go to bed. And this is another problem. My friend, Mark Jenkins, who's such a good friend of mine, and he's a trainer. He actually trained P. Diddy in the Boston Marathon. He's trained Mary J. Blige. He's trained all kinds of celebrities. He's trained Beyonce. He said that the hardest part of his job when he was training P. Diddy to run the Boston Marathon was to put him to bed, because the guy, a lot of productive people like that, they're always running 100 miles an hour. And he said your sleep is just as important as when you're awake. In fact, it's a very important part of recovery. It's very important part of your health. And that's why I said we only really have if you make a commitment in your recovery, because I listened to my friend Mark. He said that it's important to go to sleep and have a really good quality sleep. So I make a commitment to sleep, because when I show up the next day, I'm not lagging, I'm not slacking, I'm just alive and kicking. I'm ready to rock, I'm ready to serve you, right? So I got to take care of me in order to take care of you. Otherwise, when I show up and I wake up late, I miss the whole thing. I can't take care of you if I don't take care of me. So you should at the same time take care of yourself. So I'm talking about this plumber, one person show, especially when you're starting business, a startup business, you're going to be it, but you're not it. You could hire, if you start your business the right way. I hate when people say you don't need money to start a business. Yes, you do. You need a business entity. You need to, you do need some money, some level of funds, right? Some capital. You need capital. So you need to have like a runway of, on the small business end, I would say a runway of 12 months at least, so that you can afford to outsource bookkeeping. Do you know how much or how many businesses out there still to this day do their own bookkeeping? And I will never make you wrong for that. Okay. If that's the only choice you have. But if you're great at, especially if you're the talent in your business, you have to go fix people's plumbing. When are you going to do the bookkeeping? When are you going to sleep? When are you going to have time for your family? You know, everything is dividing your time. And if everything is dividing your time, it's also dividing your ability to make money. Does that make sense to reverse engineer things like that? Because you're it. And if your highest income producing activity is to go fix other people's plumbing, not bookkeeping, we need to hire someone to do that bookkeeping, right? Especially if you're still in a good state in your business where you have the funding to do so. Now, if you don't have the funding to do so, you have to start reflecting on, if I do hire a bookkeeper, how can I multiply the money I pay that person? You see, where can I reroute the time that I'm going to save? You're not saving money because you're spending money, but you're saving time. What can I do with my time so I can then multiply the money that I spent here? So now you got to maybe add a client in your, I don't know what your business is like. You might have to add a client or two to compensate for that expense. But that's your best spent of your time, is to be spending your time in your highest income producing activity. Because if you're a plumber, you probably make a couple $100 an hour. I don't know, $100 an hour. So if you save, let's say 8 hours doing bookkeeping and you make $200 an hour, that's $1,600 you're spending bookkeeping when you could hire someone for $200, maybe even $150 to maintain your bookkeeping. Clean books is critical. Remember, whether you have a business or your household, because remember Uncle Sam? Remember the Apple logo with the bite? He always gets a bite, and he may get a bigger bite if you don't have your books clean. When they knock on your door and send you a love letter, hey, come to the office, we're going to audit you. You may owe more. So just be careful. Money is my jam, but it hasn't always been. Money was jamming me first. And that's why I'm here teaching you what I've learned in the last 23 years about money. You know, I'm still a student of money. I will forever be a student of money. I will never achieve certain expert status. I know what a definition of an expert is on the dictionary. Listen, guys, I carried a dictionary on my first couple of years in America because I didn't know what certain word meant, and we didn't have Google. So I know a lot of things, what they mean. But I feel like expert is claiming that you're done. Being an expert is claiming that you have not much room. You're the smartest person, right? I don't want to be the smartest person. I want to know that there's somebody smarter out there that I could tap into, because you want what's in here. You don't want their money. You want what's in here. You don't want their money. So I want the smarts, not the money. I'll pay the money to get the smarts, right? Because those smarts can if it's transferable to me, then I can multiply the money that I pay. That's the idea here. That's money flows through you, but it's how do you effectively exchange and flow money through you? That's where a lot of people are missing. Not just money flowing through you for things that are not aligned with your legacy, things that are not multiplying your money. Flow through your money through you in order to multiply your money. Let's talk about the topic of the day: joint account in marriage. Yes or no? A lot of no's out there. There's also a lot of yeses out there. Since I'm the teacher today, I'm going to tell you my opinion. Yes, because remember, you're going to have to go teach the no. You're going to have to create your own empire to teach the no. Now, if you do, let me just warn you, because I do not expect every single human being in the world to agree with me. In fact, I already disciplined my expectation. I already know that there's going to be a heck no out there, and there's going to be a heck yes out there. And I'm on the yes side, right? There's going to be a lot of different opinion out there, but that's okay. This is where the magic happens in life. We cannot agree on everything. In fact, if you expect your audience to agree with you on everything, you're not going to have engagement. Because the biggest engagements out there are people that disagree with you. You know, the thing about us is we want to be X, Y, Z, this. But when we see somebody disagreeing with us, we quit. Embrace it. Embrace the disagreement. And while you're embracing it, you just need to listen. Lean in and listen to what they're saying, because maybe we can all learn from each other, right? And so if you disagree with this, don't be nasty, because we will delete nasty comments. If you disagree with this, I want you, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Clubhouse, what's the other one? I always forget the other one, Twitter. I want you guys to comment in the comment section why you disagree. And if you agree, put yes with a lot of emojis, exclamation, heart, whatever, right? Because we are going to talk about it. When I get off my live and I go serve my VIP, shout out to the VIPs. I've got Steve, Lisa, I see Murad, John, Genevieve, and Samara. I go serve the VIPs up to 90 minutes, and then I get off and I'm all over my phone looking at all the comments, responding, engaging back. So I want you to comment your thoughts, but don't be nasty, because we will delete those comments. Be civil about it, because while I will never make you wrong, you should not make other people wrong. This is the problem of our nation, because if you don't agree, automatically you're judged as you are wrong. Do not make people wrong. Lean in and hear them out. Listen to people, what the explanations are, but I'm going to go through this really quick. If you get into marriage, let's define what you're getting into. Because many people, here's the problem. Many people, many of us, we go into marriage without really diving deep into what it means to get into marriage. We're just in love with the world. We're in love with the person that we're getting married to. We are falling in love head over heels, right? Out there, there's a lot of you that either married people right now or you've been divorced. Okay? You know what I'm talking about. The honeymoon stage don't last. The honeymoon stage don't last. It's just a stage. And you know how big that stage is? It's like tiny. It's a very tiny thing. And then the real gets real. The real gets real. It's a small stage, but people give it so much attention to a point where they spend their life savings. Parents pay a ton of money to do it. Like pictures, photography is like 5,000, 10,000 flowers. You know, when I got married on Catalina Island, it was only 30 people. I had a strict budget, and my wedding coordinator, she asked me, what's your flower budget? I said, I don't know. I mean, that's why you're the coordinator. She goes, well, honey, you gave me a budget, and it's a very strict budget. It's a really, and this was 2008. Shout out to 888. That was when we got married, 888. And 8, by the way, in feng shui is a very good number. So it's 888. It's all infinity, 3 times. Good luck. So she goes, I've done weddings where the budget is 30 grand just on flowers. And I about fell off my chair. 30 grand just on flowers. Okay. So she said, what's your flower? I mean, she made me feel really bad about that because my budget for the entire thing was not even close to 30 grand. You know, shout out to Kathy Machado. She was amazing, by the way. She's still doing weddings on Catalina Island. So if you need somebody, we love Catalina Island. So 30 grand on flowers. I fell off my chair. That's a lot of money. But mom and dad pays for it. Let me tell you something. This mom and dad will never do that. I love my children so much that I don't want to rob them from their journey. I love them so much that I want them to realize how awesome it is to have your own life and to build your own life and to make your own money and not be handed things, to be self-made. I love them so much that I want them to learn the things that I'm learning. And I want him to have the resource so that if I'm done and I pass on to the next life, my spouse, my husband passes on to the next life, they're good. They're not in shambles because mom and dad are gone. They know I'm passing the manual before the money. They need the manual first before the money. I love them so much. I need them to read the manual first. You see the different shift in mindset in parenting around money. This is, by the way, if we had the 3rd week together, and maybe we'll do another challenge in the fall, but if we had a 3rd week together, it would be parenting around money. I have a lot of talking to do about that. A lot of talking to do about that. Parenting around money. You'd be surprised how many kids run the show in the household when it comes to money. It's kind of sad. Okay, going back to marriage and money is recognized. So marriage is recognized as a union of 2 people as partners in a personal relationship. Union. So if you're a union, why do you have separate bank accounts? If you said in your wedding, in front of your loved ones, right? In front of many people. Some people have 200 people in their wedding. You know, in front of all, you put out a show. You said, through thick or thin, in sickness and in health, till death do we part. What happened? What happened to the joint account? when you became a union. Now you can have a joint account for your operation in your household, right? You can do that and then inform each other that I'm going to have this separate account. Don't hide it. Why would you hide it? You were in love. You wanted to get married. Did you not realize what you were getting into? Like, did you not look in the dictionary like I do? Where I go look in my dictionary what it means to do XYZ, right? Because love is grand, divorce is 10 grand or more. Love is grand, divorce is 10 grand or more. And I'm telling you, all the divorced people out there, they will tell you it's a freaking pain. That's the end, right? The end is going to be so painful unless you're my friend Owen Beanie, who's an adult about him and his ex-wife were so adult about divorce. The ego was thrown out the door. The ego is not your amigo. The ego is not your amigo. So the end becomes really nasty. You know why? Because you only addressed the beginning, which was this stage, the honeymoon stage. You did not address the middle, which is the biggest chunk. The middle about marriage and money is the biggest chunk in your journey you're about to embark, called marriage. But most people do not address the middle. If you don't address the middle, you're only happy during the beginning when you get married, and then you're happy in the end when you got divorced, because you don't address the middle and you have separate bank accounts. You know, there's 5 reasons why people divorce in America, and not all of them are money, but I could tell you, I could attach all of them to money because money touches everything. Money touches everything, and it touches everything you love. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to pull the article up. Number 1 reason was what was it? It's infidelity. Infidelity. Do you know that if you're hiding accounts and you're not making each other aware about money, that's financial infidelity. It's financial infidelity. It's detrimental to a marriage because each other don't know about each other's finances. You said you were going to get married, and you said the dictionary said it's a union of 2 people as partners in a personal relationship. I don't think the business of marriage is just a personal relationship because you have a target. It should be the business of marriage. Financial infidelity happens all the time. That's actually number 1. I could tell you money touches everything. Number 2 reason, the lack of intimacy. The lack of intimacy. Do you know that when you're having money problems and you have financial infidelity, you're not going to touch each other. You're not going to want to touch each other. I'm going to take a pause right there. It's hard to be very touchy-feely when there's an issue looming over your relationship. That's the middle part that you refuse to address because the wedding was so exciting, right? It's the middle part that's not going to get to, the going's going to get rough in the middle part. And there's going to be moments in your life that you're not going to have intimacy because a union requires intimacy. It just does. It needs intimacy and on a regular basis. And so people start growing apart without intimacy. And when you have money problems, you're blaming each other, you're pointing fingers to each other. Nobody's wrong, nobody's right. Everybody's just quitting and throwing in the towel. No, don't do that. Remember, you got married and swore in front of your family members and loved ones and friends, through thick or thin, in sickness and in health, till death do we part. What happened to thick or thin? When the going gets tough, it's very thin. What happened there? What happened to thick or thin? Do you just like enjoy the wedding because it was thick? And when it was over, it was back to not through thick or thin. It's just your fault, my fault, nobody's fault. It's a union. It's both of your fault. It takes two to tango. It takes two to tango. But you forgot to understand what you got into, right? And you forgot to address the middle. Number 3, communication. If you have a separate account and not joint account to operate your household, you're not going to be effectively communicating with each other. That's why I say all these 5, I could tell you there's money sprinkled all over each of them. Type it in the chat if you're watching me right now and you know what I'm talking about. Type number 1 or whatever, just type some words or something. So number 1, infidelity. Without a joint account, you're going to lead yourself to financial infidelity. Number 2, lack of intimacy. When you have money problems, you're not going to want to be so affectionate with each other. You're not going to want to touch each other. But a marriage needs intimacy. It does. Number 3, communication. If you're already having financial infidelity, if you're already having the lack of intimacy, you're not going to communicate. If you're not sitting down on a regular basis and talking about money, you're already not communicating. And those lead into and bleed through other parts of your life, whether it's the sports with your children, whether it's maybe investments in your household, whether it's mom or mother-in-law, there's some issues there. The communication is important. If you're already not communicating around your money as a couple, you're going to have a problem with all the other areas of your life. Because you accepted that that's going to be okay to operate that way. What happened to thick or thin, in sickness and in health, till death do we part? Like, we murmur that during that wedding so good. And there's a lot of witness that you said that. And you even created your own, right? I'm telling you, a lot of you created your own. On top of that, do you even still have that? Do you read that? You should read that when you sit down with your spouse to remind each other. You know, why do we start? Especially in the thin part. You know, when the 2008 market crashed, my husband and I are casualties of 2008. And we could have easily thrown the towel in because of the lack. I mean, we were just, it was not pretty financially, right? The easy way would have been throw the towel in, blame each other, right? But we never blamed each other. That would be something I'm going to say very proud of. And then we looked at, why do we start? You know, we weren't very affectionate with each other because of other things that are happening in our lives. And that's why when I read these 5 reasons why people divorce, I'm like, you know what? These 5 reasons are rooted from money. You know, you say it's never about the money, right? And I agree with you, but money touches everything, and it touches everything that you love. So we went back to the days on Catalina Island. Why did we start? This is why I could teach this part, because I've been through this part. What do we do? What do we say? What do we do? In fact, my sister sent me the sand from the tropics, the Philippines. Shout out to my Filipino people. the Philippines, the sand, and then my husband grew up in the coast of Oregon. And then during our wedding ceremony, our unique way of celebrating our marriage and the union of two people was to have the sand ceremony where we pour the sand in one container. Together, we become one. You know, and those are the good, happy times. So when the thin comes, you need to revisit those times. You need to start thinking, why do we start? What happened to that? Because a partner is a pair of people engaged together in the same activity, right? If you're already having a separate bank account, that's not going to be the same activity. It's not going to be a partnership. Right out of the gate, because you made that decision. That decision's already made when you went separate ways in your bank accounts. Again, my opinion, if you weren't here earlier when I did a quick disclaimer about, I don't expect everybody to agree with me, but what I do expect is if you disagree with me, you be kind and comment what your disagreement is, because we will delete nasty comments. We don't need to be nasty when we disagree. We can be kind about it and civil. And I'm telling you why, like I'm going through the motions here, why I believe that every married couple should have a joint operating account. Here's another qualm I have with financial institutions. When you go open a business banking account and you have a partner, they ask for your operating agreement. They ask for your state secretary registration and all the other stuff they ask. And the operating agreement says who owns this company. And if you have a partnership, all of them are defined there and what the roles are and how much they own. The reason that they want to see that is because they want to see who's going to be responsible if ish hits the fan in your business. Who can we go after, right? In marriage, oh, and by the way, if your name is on that operating agreement, they require you to be on everything. Checking account, savings account, loans, lines, working capital, whatever. They demand that you sign and personal guarantee it. But in marriage, they'll open you a non-joint account all day long. They forgot too that marriage is a contract and it's a partnership of two people that became a union. That they are just responsible as the other one. And they should require, in a marriage, obviously it's 50% ownership, right? 50-50. It's not 80-20. And you know what I love that I just heard from Brene Brown lately, which makes so much sense to me, and shout out to Brene Brown. She said that we're not always 100 in our marriage. She said that, but we communicate it. Remember, number 3 reason why people divorce is communication. So she talked about her mother, like there's some issues with her mother. I think it was like a health issue. And she would come home after helping her and she would tell her husband, you know what, honey, I just have 20% to give today. Like that's a really good communication. And can you do the other 80 today? I love that. And then another day, the husband comes home and says, honey, I just have 10% today. Can you do the other 90 today? Woo! Now that is magic, because you are never 100%, right? But the reason you become a union with two people is because together you're 100. And if you're blaming each other about the thin, and you only love each other when it's thick, shame on you. Shame on you. Love is grand, divorce is 10 grand. I always say that. But you know what I'm saying? You said through thick or thin, but you're only good when it's thick. You're not good when it's thin. Don't do that. Pray about that. I want you to pray about that if that's you. If you're a praying person, I want you to pray about that, because that's not cool. It's not cool. So Brene Brown, I love what she shared. Like I told my husband about it. It's like, wow, that's impactful, because it's true. The problem with us married people is we just go short fused, right? The lack of communication is, we always lead with that. Why can't we just talk, communicate? That's the problem, is we're 20%. What if the other one's 20% too? You're only at 40 together. You might have to leave each other alone a little bit until you could complete the 100. I'm a math person. I'm a numbers person. That right there just makes total sense to me. Total sense. So now I'm gonna steal that from Brene. I'm gonna install that in my own marriage. In fact, I'm gonna include the kids, because what happens if you and your spouse is only 20-20? The kids may have the other 40. I have 2 kids. They may each have the 40. Remember, when you run a household, it's like running a corporation. You have a team of people. You're the CEO and CFO, and your kids are your team. They got to contribute. You can't do everything for them or you will suffer. And I know there's parents out there that always tells me, I wish I would have done that. It's too late. It's never too late. It's too late in your heart because it hurts you to discipline them. It's not easy. It hurts our heart. Sometimes when I talk to my kids and I'm disciplining them, I might just go in the closet, shut the door, and cry. It's hard. I know. But I love them enough, and I love them so much that I need them to know what's right or wrong. I need them to have the resources so that when I'm dead, they know how to live life. They know how to pan out for themselves. They know how to do their own laundry, because I didn't pay them for their chores. Because I'm not always 100, and dad is not always 100. Maybe they'll have the other 40 each if you have 2 kids. Then as a unit, as a family, together you become 100. That's what corporations do, right? They hire someone that's good in operations, because that operations person is not going to be great at sales. They're just not. The salesperson's not going to be great at operations. You use each other's strengths, right? If your strength's only at 20%, go find someone else's strength in your family unit. It makes total sense to me when I heard Brene Brown said that. I'm so glad this downloaded to me today, because I got to share it with you. Number 4 money problem, or problem that the reason why people divorce is money. So money is just number 4. But let me tell you, if you watch this replay, I've touched on 1, 2, 3, and they're all related to money, even though they say it's not, right? On this article that I read. Number 5 is addiction. Money touches everything. If you have gambling problem, addiction, drugs, that needs money, pills, that needs money, right? If you have some sort of addiction, that's going to ruin your financial life in your family. Money touches everything. I'm telling you, there's 5 reasons why people divorce: gambling, alcoholism, like all kinds of addictions going to need some money. And unfortunately, when you have this types of addiction, you spend the money you do not have. That's the unfortunate part of it. So addiction is number 5. But remember, I touch everything. Everything touches money, and money touches everything. So with that being said, guys, my time is up with you, live broadcast. I have to go and jam with the VIPs in the private Zoom room. If you want to join the VIP in the private Zoom room, you only have today, Thursday, and Friday to chat with me, but it's enough time to actually make sure that if you have any questions, you can come in and ask. I can coach you to your questions. You could go to makemorenowchallenge.com, makemorenowchallenge.com, make more whatever, make more strong relationships, make more money, make more life, make more awareness, make more whatever you just fill in the blank. Makemorenowchallenge.com. When you fill in the form, it takes you to the VIP page, and you're going to want to upgrade so that you can come talk to me after the live broadcast. And on the very bottom of the page, you're going to check the box to join the club, because the club is the one that is a monthly Zoom call. So you go from one Zoom to another, and then in between, you're going to go do the work, execute. But you're going to have more questions. It's not just one question. There's always a follow-up. There's always more that leads more, because if you're growing, you should not just have one question. You should always have more, because you're in the growth mode, right? So in developing whatever it is you're trying to develop, you're always going to have questions. So you're going to need support. So check the box in the bottom and join the club so you can jam with us once a month. The other thing is leadership to legacy. If you are one of those people that don't really have a clarity in your legacy, and you don't know how to connect what you do on a daily basis so that you can get close to that legacy, you lack leadership. And if you lack leadership, you need to be in the leadership to legacy with me. That'll open up in July, sometime in July, early July. And then we start training. It's a 4-month training. It's a perfect training. August, September, October, November. And it's not every day that we train, right? But it's first month, we train on clarifying that legacy. What does that look like for you? Why do you want to get there? And how much funding we need to build in order to get there. Multiply money, time, and impact. And what are you currently doing to get to that legacy? Because if you're not doing the things that's necessary to get there, if you're going on happy hour, if you're blowing your money on the wrong things that are not aligned to legacy, we need to do an alignment checkup. And then the second month, we're going to dive deep into whatever you built the first month. And then we're going to talk about your faith in that vision. Your faith in that vision is going to be created through that. And we're going to have a lot of breakthroughs. And then the last 2 months is practice. Alignment practice. Because if you say you want to watch your kids get married, you want to watch your kids have kids, but you are sitting on the couch eating junk food and you're not doing the work, we need you to practice and do the work to align yourself to that legacy, because you're going to have health issues and you're not going to get there. While I am not a healthcare professional, you should have your healthcare team. I just know the basics that if you're not working out or walking, whatever your fitness choice is every single day, you're not committed to your legacy. You lied to your legacy. So the leadership has to be realigned and refined. And then the last 2 months we practice. That being said, thank you so much for being here. The live is now ending. Come back tomorrow. Make sure you come back tomorrow and we can jam again. I'm going to turn off on here to stop the